Welcome to Rewatch-and-Rank. On this channel, we rewatch older TV shows, provide a summary and opinion on the episode before ranking each episode against each other, and today's episode is Hercules, The Legendary Journeys, Season 1, Episode 9, The Warrior Princess. Episode in a nutshell is a brief reminder of what happens in the episode. So the episode begins with Hercules and Aeolus in a forge, forging a sword. And in the end, Aeolus is the one who keeps the sword, Hercules saying he'll get the next one. Then as they're leaving, Aeolus decides to test the sword and throws it at a house he believes to be abandoned, only to find out that a girl he was friends with, Serena, when she was young, has come back and gotten married, and that she has moved into that house as of yesterday, and basically starts to feel bad because, he's still single. And so they then leave. We see Hercules building a wall for his mother as he's still in town for her, and wondering about Aeolus because he's supposed to have helped him build the wall. Meanwhile, we see Xena and one of her goons arrive, and she lames her horse while Aeolus approaches, and then he, plays Good Samaritan Savior and offers to help her get to the village, where they then meet in the bar, and Hercules arrives, sings Aeolus's praises as his best friend, and then he and Xena leave to spend the night together. Then we see him once again working on the wall, noting that Aeolus has been gone for an entire week, before we rejoin him and Xena, where Xena basically says, I originally came here because there's a warlord targeting my people, and I was going to ask for Hercules' help, but then I met you, and I think that you are, as good as Hercules, so come with me to save my people. And then Aeolus, of course, agrees. Xena sends her goon to kill Hercules, but really he's just bait for the trap, because Hercules, now knowing that Xena is the one who's leading these goons and not actually as good as he thought she was, he now has to go and save Aeolus. But his mother warns him that because Aeolus loves Xena at this point, it could damage their friendship. But Hercules says he doesn't want his friend to die, so he goes anyways. Meanwhile, Xena is basically the bug whispering in his ear, saying, Aeolus's ear, saying, Hercules doesn't value you. Hercules isn't as good as you. Hercules may pretend to be the good guy, but he's actually, selfish, trying to prove himself as a son of Zeus and blah, blah, blah. Basically, talking Aeolus up, Hercules down. And then they arrive at her encampment after a brief battle, which is with soldiers that she claims belong to the warlord, but really actually are forces that would have been against her. Well, anyways, Hercules arrives. Aeolus basically tells him to get lost. How dare you not trust him and think that, Aeolus can't handle it and stuff. So Hercules then is a bit demoralized, goes to the bar, and that's when the villagers basically reveal the fact that Xena's actually the warlord or warrior princess, and that she's basically been stealing all of their food that they produce and their animals and such as tribute to her, and killing people when they refuse, and asking for his help. And he at first declines because, he feels bad about Aeolus. But then Patroclus, who is the fake warlord, actually turns out to be an old farmer whose son died serving Xena. And he basically talks Hercules around to helping the village and also Aeolus by extension. Meanwhile, Xena is planning to have Hercules kill Aeolus. That will then demoralize Hercules, and he'll be so upset about killing his best friend that he'll be easy pickings for her to take care of. So Hercules arrives. Aeolus, who's now fully brainwashed, starts to fight him, and they fight back and forth. However, then Aeolus, kind of thanks to Hercules' constant talking and trying to get him to come to his senses, does come to his senses. They then start fighting Xena's goons. But Aeolus starts to lose, so Hercules, before he can get Xena, goes back and saves Aeolus, allowing Xena to escape and ride off, saying that he hasn't seen the last of her. And then Hercules and Aeolus walk off into the rolling green hills, and Aeolus jokes about giving up men, or women, and Hercules jokes that might be a good idea, and they kind of have a little bit of a back and forth. Once again, everything turns out great at the end of the episode. So now that we've been reminded what happened in this episode, we will now rank this episode. We'll start on our mostly objective ranking list, which uses set values to determine the score, and is mostly objective because bias and judgment can still apply when deciding what points apply. And then we will move on to the personal ranking list, which is based on entertainment value and personal opinion. So, our mostly objective rank values, we start with our single episode supporting character introductions. So we start with Theodorus, who is the first goon that Xena sends after Hercules and fights him in his shed, workshop, barn place where he's been keeping the supplies that he's building the wall with. And he ends up fighting with Hercules before basically falling off the balcony of the loft area and landing on a rake. And of course, as he dies, he's like, Xena, sorry, I failed you. Basically saying who done it. So that's what sets Hercules off to save Aeolus in the first place. The second one was Estragon, who was another goon that Xena used in order to trick Aeolus into wanting to fight Hercules. She and Estragon leave the compound in the early morning. They confront Hercules. Estragon fights him, then tries to surrender, so Xena is the one who kills him with her chakram. And then she runs off. Once she's safely away, she covers herself in dirt and stuff and then goes back and is like, oh my goodness, I was attacked by Hercules. He tried to kill us. And he did kill Estragon. And this, of course, sets Aeolus against Hercules. So when Hercules comes to help him, they're the ones who end up fighting until, again, Aeolus comes to his senses. And then Patroclus is, of course, the one that Xena claimed was a warlord, but in fact is actually an old farmer. And he's the one who talks to Hercules, gives him a place to stay for the night, tells him his story, and basically is the one who convinces him to go ahead and fight Xena and help their village, even though he feels sad. Then we have our multi-season supporting character introduction, which is Xena, warrior princess. And then we have our multi-season main character development, which is Hercules and Aeolus being blacksmiths. Now, in the last episode, Aeolus did mention that he wanted to spend the $200 he let Hercules borrow on a forge, so that implied that he was a blacksmith, but I think this is the first time we've seen them actually using blacksmith skills, which is why I considered it a development of their characters. And then, worth 4 points as well, was the strong plot concept, and I don't think I could have not used strong plot concept for this episode, because this is the episode that introduces a character which spawned an arguably more successful spin-off. And I say arguably because on the one hand, Hercules did have prequel telemovies, like movies that were made for television, to the series. But both series got 6 seasons. However, Hercules' first and last season were both short seasons. This season only has 13 episodes, and then the last season, I believe, has 8. Whereas Xena, who got 6 seasons, got 6 full seasons, with each season having over 20 episodes. So that's why I consider it to be more successful. Though when you consider the movies, that's why I said arguably. But I personally think Xena was more successful, but just by a slight margin. But the fact that this character was so well received that a spin-off was spawned, I think speaks highly of the episode and the concept, etc. Though I do wonder which came first, the spin-off idea or the character. Like, was the character so successfully received by audiences that they then decided to make a spin-off for her? Or did they already have the spin-off in the works and this was their way of like soft launching the character? I don't think I'll ever know because I won't ever actually look it up. But either way, I feel like the plot had to have been extremely strong because of that, and I did enjoy the episode. Now we get to the negative messaging or behaviors, which of course starts with animal cruelty. Xena lames her horse on purpose, so she basically goes down and smashes a rock into its leg, um, which is obviously cruel, terrible. Don't do that to animals, especially ones that trust you. And -2 points, obviously. And then, of course, -2 points for the honey trap, which is just a very bad tactic, a cruel tactic. You're playing with someone's feelings, with their heart. You're manipulating them as a result of playing with their feelings. And I just think that it's just a very despicable technique. And so I took -2 points for that as well. But once all the points are considered, we do have exactly 10 points. So it is a 10 out of 10 episode. And when more than one episode does have the same score, we rank in episode order, so our mostly objective ranking for season 1 so far has in first The Wrong Path, As Darkness Falls, The Warrior Princess comes in third, followed by Pride Comes Before a Brawl, The Road to Caledon, The March to Freedom, Ares, The Festival of Dionysus, and then Eye of the Beholder. Now, my personal ranking for this episode, like I said, I did enjoy the episode. Some comments that I wanted to make is, first, I do think Xena and Hercules have better chemistry than Xena and Aeolus, and that could just be the actors versus the actual characters. I'm not sure, but you know, Lucy Lawless played Lila just like a couple episodes ago, and she was coming on to Hercules there, and I was like, chemistry, that would actually have been interesting. Aeolus and Xena, they spent this entire episode with her trying to seduce him, and I just didn't really believe it. So I did not think that they had great chemistry. Personally, and additionally, before I started watching Hercules Legendary Journeys, I did rewatch Xena first. Not recently, but like the last time I rewatched a series from the franchise, it was Xena. I bought Xena first on DVD before I ever thought to buy Hercules Legendary Journeys. That was more like an afterthought when I started doing these videos because I thought, oh, I'll do them both. But the point is, most of what I saw of Hercules and Xena's interactions were their interactions in the crossover episodes where Hercules went into Xena's universe, like her series. And by that point, this episode obviously was old news, and they were more friendly. And I always thought that they had great chemistry and would make a good couple. So I kind of can't get that out of my head. So again, like the whole Aeolus being seduced concept as a honey trap and a concept for the episode, I think it was strong. As far as chemistry or believability of that relationship, I didn't personally feel like it was good. I did not feel any chemistry between them or think that it was ever going to be a genuine relationship from like the go. So did not enjoy that part, but enjoyed the concept of it and the way that she used that to then, enact her grand master plan. Obviously, Xena was my favorite character, and I do love the Xena series as well, so obviously, big bonus that she was in this episode. Although, funny enough, in the Xena series, Callisto's actually my favorite character overall. But, anyways, that is neither here nor there. The point that I am making is that because Xena existed in this episode, it's very nostalgic, so there's already an emotional connection to that character, to, her success. I know that they spawn a crossover, so I feel like that does make me a little more biased towards the episode than maybe I should be. But regardless, I gave it a 9 out of 10 because I really, really, really did like it. And additional to that, I put it into second place after The March to Freedom, which is in first, because the love story in that one was adorable, and I really thought that that love story connected a lot better than this one did. So after The Warrior Princess, we then have As Darkness Falls, followed by Eye of the Beholder, Pride Comes Before a Brawl, The Festival of Dionysus, Ares, The Wrong Path, and then The Road to Caledon in ninth place. Bringing us to the series ranking so far, mostly objective ranking, Season 1, 60 out of a possible 130, and then the personal ranking is at 63 out of a possible 130. But with that, we've now rewatched and ranked Hercules: The Legendary Journeys, Season 1, Episode 9, The Warrior Princess. Like and subscribe if you'd like to, and I'll see you in the next episode.